At 6:45 in the morning, I'm staring at my own damn Rolls-Royce. Yeah, that's right, a 1962 silver cloud I dragged back from the dead. And there's Sandra Withers, the neighborhood's self-appointed queen of the HOA, zip-tying a laminated tag right to the spirit of ecstasy, as if she's crowning herself at the Oscars for pettiest move of the year. The tag is screaming in bold, property of Willowrest HOA, community heritage vehicle. I nearly choke on my coffee. This is not what you expect to see before sunrise, you know? The engine's idling like some cathedral at midnight, and here's Sandra, grinning at me like she's breaking a champagne bottle on the Titanic. Let me just paint this for you. I'm standing on my porch, torque wrench in one hand, mug in the other, steam rising up, the whole street dead quiet except for the click of her plastic zip tie. The car honks, I swear, like it knows what's happening, like it's offended by the whole scene. And I'm standing there thinking, how did my lazy Sunday morning become this circus? Oh, by the way, I'm Grant Calder. I design museum exhibits for a living, which basically means I spend half my life figuring out how to keep people from walking straight past something special without even noticing. Quiet, predictable weekends, that's what I live for. Coffee, audiobooks, and the sacred ritual of tinkering in my garage surrounded by rust, oil stains, and the kind of tools that ought to be handed down through family lines. That rolls out there. Used to be my neighbor's. He moved out, left it rotting under a tarp for years, and I somehow convinced him to let me take it off his hands. The thing was a disaster, 7 years sinking into the ground like it belonged to the earth. So for 8 months, I brought it back to life, night after work, sometimes till midnight, weekends from sunrise till my spine gave out. Wiring looms fried to a crisp, leather as dry as an old shoe, paint the color of dirty dishwater. I fixed every inch of it. Fed the leather until it felt like skin again, sanded and repainted the body so it looked like a storm rolling in over the ocean. Every scrap of chrome, every piece of wood veneer, restored with my own 2 hands. Now, our neighborhood, Willow Crest, it's exactly what you're picturing. Cookie-cutter homes, lawn gnomes with little attitudes, everybody trying to outdo each other with flower beds. The one thing nobody needs here is drama, except for Sandra Withers. She's the HOA president, the kind of person who'd cite a family for leaving up Christmas decorations a week too long. She washes her white Lexus every Wednesday, rain or shine, and checks her mailbox in slacks and heels, like she expects a job interview with the postmaster general. At first, Sandra was just nosy, leaving polite little reminders on my windshield about HOA registration for all exhibition items. Then it was those big, orange abandoned vehicle stickers slapped on the window while I was literally sanding the doors. She even brought a clipboard and started counting the louvers on the hood, dead serious, announcing one day that historical artifacts are community property. She pitched some made-up custodial stewardship fee, $50 a month, as if everyone driving past my driveway owed her a museum ticket. But she didn't stop there. Sandra started giving actual tours. I kid you not. Telling anyone who'd listened that the Queen of England once rode in my car, or that it had been in a Bond movie, or that it used to be lime green before I ruined it. Every new fix I made, she had a problem with. When I replaced the horn, she filed a noise complaint, said it sounded too aristocratic for a cul-de-sac. 3 voicemails to the HOA's lawyer about my threatening vehicle. Yeah, that happened. Word spread in the neighborhood. Suddenly, I'm running an art smuggling ring or laundering cars for Russian barons. Mrs. Chun from down the street asked if I was in witness protection twice. Sandra started showing up with people interested in buying my car, giving them guided tours, quoting prices she made up on the spot. When I called her out, she just smiled and told me, "You seem overwhelmed by the responsibility of ownership, Grant. I'm just trying to help you transition it to a more capable steward." The couple looked like they wanted to melt through the driveway. But Sandra didn't just stop at annoyance. She went full villain. Filed an affidavit with the county claiming the car was abandoned common property. She forged a donation letter with my name scrawled in handwriting that looked like someone wrote it left-handed in the dark. Then she actually scheduled a neighborhood heritage parade starring my roles, made flyers, called the local paper, commissioned a massive banner, and, wait for it, hired some guys from Facebook Marketplace to tow the car away. Except their truck was sized for lawn mowers, not 2-ton British steel. The driver just stared at the car, stared at his truck, then backed out of my driveway like he'd seen a ghost. And here's the twist. Sandra, thinking she was starring in some reality show, peeled off my VIN cover with a butter knife, narrating the whole thing for her phone like a budget Nancy Grace. What she didn't realize, I've got security cameras on every inch of my house. Crystal clear, 4K audio and video. Plus, one of my best friends, Marcus, works for the state DMV investigations unit, and forged affidavits are basically his personal arch-nemesis. So, I sent Marcus the video. 20 minutes later, he calls, dead serious, asks me to send everything. 3 days later, the cavalry arrives, a DMV investigator with a face carved from granite, 2 police officers, and a county clerk holding a folder labeled Nope in thick red Sharpie. I invite them in, pour out some tea, because why not? And we all sit down to watch Sandra's criminal archaeology on my laptop. 6 straight minutes of her prying at my VIN plate, muttering about community responsibility. The investigator turns to me, slow and deliberate, says, tampering with VINs and forging titles is a felony, Mr. Calder. People go to prison for less. The officers walk across the street, knock on Sandra's door. She comes out, wrapped in a floral shawl, looking like a Southern belle on trial. The county clerk holds up her fake donation letter, signed in Comic Sans, which, let's be honest, should be illegal all by itself. The clerk deadpants. No legal document in America has ever been signed in Comic Sans. One cop nearly chokes trying not to laugh. I file formal complaints for trespass and vandalism while they take notes and haul away Sandra's mountain of forged paperwork. The HOA, sensing an incoming lawsuit, calls an emergency meeting. Next night, the clubhouse is packed wall to wall. Neighbors, cops, board members, even the guy who only comes out for Halloween. Store-bought cookies on every table. Sandra gets up, launches into a big speech about community heritage stewardship, complete with slides. But when she clicks to slide 3, it's Marcus's video, her, butter knife in hand, audio and all. The room goes silent. Then you hear this tiny gasp from Mrs. Jenkins in the back. Oh my word. But it wasn't over. The treasurer, turns out, did some digging. Found that Sandra paid $2,800 of HOA money to her cousin, a dental hygienist, by the way, for parade consulting. Never planned a thing in his life. There's the contract, bank statements, emails, laid out for all to see. The board votes 5-0, Sandra's out. Right then, the officers hand her citations for vandalism and false filing, and the county clerk says there's a pending case for attempted title fraud, up to 3 years in state prison. The HOA's insurance flat out refuses to pay for any of it. Letter starts with, absolutely not. We will not be covering any of this. Sandra just stands there, red as a lobster, clutching her presentation remote, lips quivering. 50 neighbors watching her world collapse in real time. The queen stripped of her crown, right there in a room full of folding chairs and stale cookies. So here's my question. Was that justice, or did it just scratch the surface? Ever tangled with an HOA, or had a neighbor go off the rails like this? Drop your wildest story in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. And hey, what would you have done with that rolls if it was yours? Hit subscribe if you want more tales of petty power gone wild. And don't forget to weigh in. What's fair, what's just, and who really gets to claim something as community property, anyway?